Hello, folks, and thanks for joining. This is the review for Counterblast. This week I have a friend of mine, Brandon, and he's going to help me review the film from this science fiction Sci-Fi Fever 20 film collection, Counterblast. It's a little bit of a brief respite from the two that I've done. So anyway. Thank you for joining, and thank you, Brandon, for being here to help me talk about the review.
You're welcome. Thank you, Brian. It's a pleasure to be here. Welcome to all our listeners.
Act 1.
So right off the bat, what we're faced with is I would say, some slight formatting problems in the sense that it just starts.
Yes, I believe it does start off with some men that jump off, or jump out of a Nazi camp or something, and they appear to be flying. But that's not what this is about. We're not going to reconstruct the plot for you. We're going to review the film for you. I figured that it would be a good idea to turn the light off so that we could more so clearly see what was being shown on screen, but that didn't help in the slightest. It just appears that this film wasn't lit very well.
Like, at all. Because we couldn't get a count of who the men were, we couldn't see any faces, and then we're introduced to the main character, who we're not exactly sure who he is or where he's from. Later, through some vague dialogue, 1950s dialogue, so a little difficult to understand, we kind of put together, oh, okay, he might have been part of that escape, but where are the other guys? That's never explained. They just escape, and that's it. And then we're off. And we're on this journey of trying to figure out what is happening.
Mr. Anderson, please. Mr. Anderson, please. Mr. Kennedy will see you now.
I was told to come and see you.
Yes, Mr. Anderson. Won't you take your coat off? Thank you, Dr. Bruckner.
Figure out, okay, this Brockner guy is our main character. He escaped from the prison camp. We guess he might be a scientist or a spy. We're not exactly sure, but we do know he likes walking. There was a lot of walking in the 50s. Because they use, I would say, most of the first act to express to us visually his traveling from location to location, and then he kills the guy. So, first act, really good first act.
Yeah, the only thing that I would add to that is that the first act is just a point in a film where you're supposed to be introduced to the characters, and you're also supposed to be introduced to the main struggle of the film.
Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine.
But most importantly, it's like, is this character going to reject the information that they get from like an older, wiser sort of person that comes to them with a new adventure to go upon?
Exactly. And I think you made two really good points right there. Talking about the struggle.
I like the Empire. I hate it, but there's nothing I can do about it right now. It's such a long way from here.
That's your uncle talking.
Boy, my uncle. How am I ever going to explain?
Wisdom thing and the climax. So I believe our Act 1 climax, which a climax is supposed to be a very exciting, a very adventurous thing, something big and grand.
It pulls you in where the last 30 minutes are all leading to. It's supposed to make you jump straight into the story and never leave it.
Exactly. That's a climax. It grabs you. You can't escape it. It's so good you have to know. And our Act 1 climax, I believe, is when he's talking to one of his cohorts and they give him an address and he has to remember it. And that's our information.
You'll find money in the pocket of that suit. Now, at 6:30 this evening, go to 142 Belgrave Square. Mr. William Lucas is expecting you. When you're ready, you can leave by the other door.
Thank you.
Act 2.
I am so ready to start talking about Act 2. I am chomping at the bit.
All right, as we left off on Act 1, we were talking about the Act 1 climax, which was right when...
No, it's staying in there.
Okay, we were talking about the Act 1 climax, where our hero, I think he's our hero, but the main character basically has to remember some information, and then he goes and kills a doctor to take his identity.
I'd like to recreate the my favorite scene of this film, which is where the bellboy shows up with a bottle of whiskey.
Here, I'll play the busboy.
And I'll play Kempler, who's not Kempler, because that's from another movie, but...
Brockner Anderson Forrester.
Brockner Anderson Forrester. Yes, this man has multiple identities.
All right, scene. Room service.
Oh, who is it? Who is there? Who goes there?
I'm room service. You ordered room service, and I have a whiskey ginger ale for you, sir.
I don't remember ordering any sort of room service. Please, be gone. I don't need any of this room service.
That's okay. You already ordered it, sir. Would you like me to bring it into your room where that dead man is?
Don't just open up the door. I haven't heard this dead man yet. Shenanigans.
All right, my apologies, sir. Would you like it on the glass, or would you just take it out of the bottle?
I think I'll take it out of the bottle. On second thought, I think that I'll just take a little bit out of the bottle and then pour it into this glass. Yes.
Very good choice, sir. Very good choice, sir. A savage would only drink from a bottle, and you are clearly not a savage. All right, sir. Well, we are done here, so I will walk away very unawkwardly, not pay attention to that dead man at all, because you clearly have so much money, and I'm just a poor servant man who is the busboy.
You're welcome. Here's some change for your troubles. Get out of here, please. Go. Shoo shoo.
Oh, thank you so very much for your kindness, sir. Have a good day. And scene.
That's a really good scene in the movie, because it basically encapsulates that Brockner, who is also Brock Lesnar, who's also Anderson, is trying to hide his identity, because the whole point of him going to this room was to kill this scientist in order to take his identity so that he could go back to some place in America where they were expecting Anderson to go to so that he could finish out some experiment.
This movie does this amazing thing where it makes itself so complicated, and yet it's not, but it's confusing.
But it's not confusing.
But it's not confusing at all, and it's like it doesn't give you a lot of information, but there's a lot of information there, but it's all useless information, and in the end, none of it really means anything. Okay, I think in Act 2, you could pretty much cut out most, if not all, of Act 2, and then just have a 20-minute long, hey, a German guy escapes, and then he works on some things, and then some things do work, and then he dies. And that's your movie, pretty much.
No, that is exactly what the movie is. And I was going to relate it to something like Terminator, where you have a character that is progressing towards some sort of goal, like they have to hide their identity. And in Terminator, where they hide their identity is basically they come in with like this skin mask, where they're basically like a person, but when they're hiding themselves as a person, they're actually a robot with deep inside. What happens in this movie is that there's no tension built upon like this person being a Nazi deep inside. It's just that this person's just trying to accomplish the goal of creating a vaccine.
They try to build this tension, but it doesn't really work because it's not driven, it's not hit home. There's no consequences of it. It's just there, and if it's just there, and no people who are not the main character are reacting or aware of it, what you would have to do, I think, to make it interesting is show the internal struggle of the main character dealing with quite possibly hiding something that he thinks could get discovered, even though we as the audience know he's fine. We want to see that he doesn't feel fine. I think this film is filmed from a Terminator standpoint. So all these Terminators are walking around with their skin suits, pretending to be humans, but they're all Terminators, but nobody catches on because they don't really understand how human emotions work, so nobody realizes that it's all off and that everybody's actually just a robot.
Yeah, but the only person that does assume that he's actually a robot is Mrs. Whomever, who's like the maid.
Mrs. P, correct.
You wait. You'll find out.
Another thing that I didn't really care for in this movie was that there was a guy who could have been a love interest for the main chick, but he ended up not being the main love interest because he was more so not involved, or he wasn't written into the story at all.
Yeah, this love story thing also not really hit out of the park, just kind of laid down, set there. And I think it's up to you to decide that, oh, it's real, but it's not really. The love interest guy, Regner, is talking to the main female lady, and she's like, yeah, I want to be a scientist. I want to study and, like, do research, and I want to, like, get out there and help people with my research and everything. And he just kind of laughs, and he's like, what are you talking about? Shouldn't you want to, like, work in a kitchen and raise kids and be my goddamn wife, you dumb bitch?
That guy was such a dumb dick.
But then her as an actor was like, god damn it, they paid me money, so I'll just say it. And then she's like, oh, I guess I'll just be your housewife. I'm a woman, I don't need science.
Yeah, but she didn't do any of that. She just went and worked for the Nazi criminal.
So good for her. Like, honestly, I gotta say, she was probably the ballsiest character, because this crazy scientist dude who she believes is this Dr. Forrester guy who her parents held in high esteem, and she's working with him because it's an opportunity for her to do science, and he asks her to be a human test subject on this thing that he's not positive it'll work on humans, but she's willing to give up her life to progress science. I mean, that's courageous as shit.
If I could lend my own body for this last test, I would. Gladly and proudly.
I'll do it for you.
Tomorrow I shall vaccinate you. About 10 days later, I shall infect you. If you resist the disease, we've won a great victory. If you don't, then I want you to realize that you may not.
May I ask you something?
Yes, what is it?
Before you infect me,
I think
I want
Act
to see
2 was just
Are you in love
there
with him?
to point out that Americans are
Yes.
fucking awesome, Germans are evil, Scottish people are raging alcoholics and can't be trusted, and women... yeah, there was that thing. And then women are second-class citizens. I believe that's all Act 2 was. And then Brian's gonna go pee. So when we return, we will be discussing Act 3, the final climax.
Act 3.
So, I don't remember what happened during Act 3 because I mostly fell asleep, but I'm pretty sure that from what I remember hearing from Brandon talking about it is basically that this guy ended up getting his dream to go to South America by hiring some sort of ship captain to take him to South America. And then he doesn't get to South America because he gets killed by fumigation gas.
There's a whole lot of things that happen. Are they important to the story? No, not really. Do they have any effect on the story? No, not really. Are they there to make it a full-length feature? Probably. Probably that's why they're there. So Act 3 kind of starts with the success of the vaccine. The very courageous woman who takes the crazy scientist poison and vaccine, she lives. But while she's sick, the love interest guy, the second in command scientist guy, he's really trying to get a hold of her because he's...
You gotta say what you think about this stuff, not just what happens in it.
I'm very upset at all of it. The way I feel about it is none of it fucking matters. None of it was important. This whole movie was a joke and should never have happened. All these people wasted their own goddamn time, and then fucking we all are just we're lost. We all lost 90 minutes that we can never get back. It's not.
I'd say that we lost 90 minutes, but I wouldn't say that those actors lost 90 minutes. I'd say that those actors lost at least like 2 months of their lives.
At least, I wouldn't be surprised if most of those actors killed themselves immediately after this. And we're like, what the fuck did I just do? What a waste of my time. Okay, so he has to kill the main character girl. But he doesn't. Which foils his plan to get to South America, but then he still tries to go, even though he didn't fulfill his duty. And then he gets really mad, and he yells, and it's the only time we really see some real, actual emotion from this man.
Give me my bag.
Will you please go now?
So, you think I'll write everything down on bits of paper? You're wrong. It's all here. I'm armed. I'll stand alone against the world. You're in my hands, all of you. Nations will bid for me. The greatest scientist the world ever knew.
You'd better go now.
And it was upsetting, because it was like, where was that the whole time?
I have power.
That might have been interesting.
I can destroy.
Watching this man walk around
They
and
need
yell at
me.
people.
They can't do without me.
Watch this.
You shall see.
It'd be cool to watch
You shall
this
see.
Nazi war criminal fall apart emotionally based on, like, you know, the shit that's happened to him in his past. Like the demons that hold on to him. That'd be a cool story.
Yeah, Brian brings up another reason why I fucking hated this film. There's no backstory. We don't know why any of these people are doing anything that they're doing. They have very little to no motivation. There's no drive. There's no purpose. There's honestly, like, they try to create tension, but there is none. There's none.
Why did he try to go to South America and try to get on that boat? I mean, I don't understand that at all.
I would love to know. That might actually make me interested in it.
My main feeling about this movie, all jokes aside, is that this movie kind of fucking sucked, and I was bored the entire time I was watching it. I was hoping that it was going to get better throughout, but it never ended up getting better. Not it being shot in black and white doesn't make it a bad movie. There are plenty of great films that are shot in black and white, like Doctor Strangelove, or something else that's a good movie that's shot in black and white. Like, oh yeah, that one movie that's, you know, if you guys watched movies in film school, you'll remember that one French New Wave movie that we all had to watch. So anyway, some movies in black and white are pretty good.
Actually, a lot of movies in black and white are pretty good. I was kind of excited.
Please name a couple.
Well, I mean, you know, there's...
What's your favorite black and white movie, Brandon?
There's that Miracle on 24th Street.
Oh, you're talking about Miracle on 34th Street, the color film that was made in the 30s?
Yeah.
What about the Santa Claus that was a color film?
Yeah, that one, and then there's
Oh yeah, Casablanca was actually a really good movie. Yeah, what's the main character's name in that movie?
I believe it is it's Tony Danza.
Oh, Tony Danza?
Yeah.
Who was he played by?
He was played by Ron Howard, a young Ron Howard. Yeah.
Ron Perlman, I got you, you fucking hack.
But anyway, Brian brings up a good point. Like it's difficult, you know, because back in the day they didn't know what they were doing. Film hadn't been around that long.
No.
No attempt was made to make Gone with the Wind pretty. When unpleasant colors were required to enhance the drama, they were used. Red skies and indigo backings were planned for macabre, strong, and unhappy atmosphere. Times of the day were, I think, gone further into in color study than ever before.
No, I don't bring up a good point. They know exactly what they're doing. Story structure is just story structure. They know exactly what they're doing. This movie is just made to make a quick buck. This movie is a movie that's made to be sold with other movies that are in the same class as it, with one film that's just much better than the rest of them. So every movie like this has been made the same exact way every single time.
If you're like me, and you like weird things, and you like bad movies, and you like interesting, like kind of studies about history, you get to see like a time capsule almost, don't waste your time with Counterblast.
Please don't do that. Just watch the Re-Animator. It's a much better film, and it has some sort of science fiction-y stuff in it, but it's more so like a horror film. Plus, it also has like a mad scientist in it who dwells within like the 1980s, and they even have like the Talking Heads like Stop Making Sense poster in the background in the movie, and it actually like fits in with the culture of the 1980s, which is basically like the we need to have as much shit as possible sort of culture, and then this is kind of like a counter blast to that culture. So please just go watch that movie. Watch the Re-Animator.
I gave him life.
Thank you for watching this review, and we'll be watching Warriors of the Wasteland next week, and Brandon will also be a special guest. So,
we'll see you next week!